It's Monday, June 5th, 2023. I was just looking at the national debt clock here. I don't know if you can see that. $31.8 trillion and skyrocketing. It's absolutely incredible to watch how fast the debt is going up. $31.8 trillion and skyrocketing. If you ever get a couple minutes, go to the debt clock. You can just Google it. It's pretty amazing. And when you look at how much debt is out there per citizen, per taxpayer, Social Security, how much Medicare debt we have, interest on the debt, it's staggering. Really is staggering, some of these numbers. It's actually pretty scary. It really is. You can see the average price of a median home today compared to 2020. You can see how many people are enrolling in Medicare. Look at U.S. bankruptcies. But I mean, just really shocking. Median income right now in America, the median income is $35,873. The median income in 2000 was $31,832. So that's around, literally, you're making $4,000. The median income is up $4,000 over 23 years. There's no way that wages are keeping up with inflation. No doubt about it. How many people are living in poverty in America? 42,829,000. How many people without insurance? Over 27 million people. How many people are on food stamps in America? Over 43 million people. U.S. unfunded liabilities, $188 trillion. It's all right here. Take a couple minutes and really educate yourself with what's happening. Take a look at the amount of debt we are stacking up right now. It is shocking, and it is very scary. And I'm just going to share a few articles with you. This first one coming from the AP. Saudi Arabia welcomes Venezuelan leader Maduro, reaching out to yet another U.S. foe. It says here, President Nicolas Maduro arrived late Sunday in the Red Sea city of Jeddah. He was greeted by Saudi officials, according to the Saudi press. U.S.-Saudi relations have really been compromised. Very strained. We have a very strained relationship now with Saudi Arabia. And this has all taken place over the past couple of years. And the Saudis now are saying, hey, if that's the way you want it, if that's what you think of us, you know, good luck and goodbye, because we're going to reach out to other people such as Iran, Syria. They've been hosting Russian officials. They're cutting deals with China right now. Life is going to go on for Saudi Arabia without a doubt. And the Saudis are now looking at the rest of the world, and they're going to do business with or without America. And it looks like they prefer to do business without America. And most of you already know this was big news yesterday. OPEC Plus has smashed oil production. The Energy Information Association expects the price of a barrel of oil to rise almost $10 above the current average. The Saudis right now are telling short sellers betting prices will fall to watch out. You shouldn't do it, because prices are going to go up. Right now in my area here in Southern California, in the desert, Coachella Valley, I would say regular is around 460, maybe 465. But remember, this cut with OPEC Plus starts July 1st. So this is when people are traveling. This is when people are taking vacations. This is when people are flying. And I think we're going to see oil prices skyrocket this summer. It is very possible by the end of this year, you could see oil over $100 a barrel. Not saying it's going to happen, but it is very possible. U.S. gas pipelines right now are at risk of outages. If we get a hurricane that takes place, any unexpected refinery outages would be catastrophic. And remember, we are draining our strategic petroleum reserves in order to suppress prices of gasoline right now. What happens when those reserves have to be topped back up? What is it going to cost us? How much is it going to cost to top off those strategic petroleum reserves that should only be used for emergency, used for wartime, and we're using our strategic petroleum reserves to manipulate the price at the pump. Very, very dangerous. It puts us in a very vulnerable position. We could be, as I said, heading to $100 barrel oil by the end of this year. That is not impossible by any means. If gas prices go up, this is going to put in a very heavy strain on the U.S. consumer, who is getting tapped out right now. We are approaching $1 trillion in credit card debt. We have millions of people using credit cards just to pay for essentials, using those credit cards to put gasoline in their cars so they can go to work, take their kids to school. And many of them are paying over 20% interest on those cards. So we have a really bad combination here of a production crunch in oil, and we're going to have a problem here with a credit crunch where we now are beginning to see banks tightening up. And you have to ask yourself, if people don't have access to credit, which makes the world go round, businesses need it to do business, the households need it now just to pay for essentials. If we begin to see a credit crunch on top of a oil crunch, where production is going down, prices are going up, and people don't have access to credit, there's going to be very, very serious trouble here in the U.S. Again, when people cannot borrow money and businesses cannot borrow money, and then you have oil prices exploding, you're going to have a very, very serious problem on your hands. And every day that goes by, we just keep draining our petroleum reserves. And at some point, they are going to have to be topped off. It's going to be extremely expensive. You know, ladies and gentlemen, people will say that this message is very repetitive. I'm just giving you the fresh daily news today, and it just continues to get worse. Now the Saudis, now the OPEC nations are going to cut production, and that's really going to put a strain on the average American right here. And prices, remember, prices go up for oil, diesel goes in a truck, retail goods and products and food go on those trucks. It's going to cost more to ship food, to ship retail goods. And you're going to pay more at the store, at the grocery store, at the Walmart, wherever. You're going to pay more because fuel prices are going to go way up this summer. So as they do, we have millions of people who are so reliant on the use of credit and credit cards to pay their bills, to put food on the table, to put gasoline in the car. Heaven forbid those banks start cutting those cards and cutting those credit lines, or people just get so tapped out because they're paying 25% interest on those cards and they have 8, 10, 12, 14 cards. At some point, people are going to hit a brick wall here. There's no doubt in my mind that we are coming to a very catastrophic time, as we're going to see markets crash. We're going to see the housing market crash. We're going to see households crash because they just cannot afford to pay their bills. When you have 20 million households in America that cannot pay their utility bills, we have a serious problem. And this is going to add to the problem right here. This is from the Hedge today. The debt ceiling crisis is over, and now the U.S. debt will rise from $31 trillion to $50 trillion by 2030. You know, the politicians told us that we averted an economic crisis. I would argue and say that we have now guaranteed an economic crisis with all of this money printing. They're going to print so much money in the next 2 years. And my question to all of you is, how are you going to solve a spending crisis by more spending? It doesn't make any sense to me. We have to continue to raise the debt ceiling year after year because we cannot control our spending. And then what do? We just spend more. It just allows us to keep spending more and keep going down this road, which continues to hurt the middle class, the poor, most people's incomes, most people's purchasing power, their standard of living. This just continues to crush it. I mean, did the American people really think that this is what they needed? Did they really get what they needed? Here's what they're going to get now. They're going to get more debt, they're going to get more inflation, and they're going to get more taxes. That's what the average American is going to get now because of the rising of this debt ceiling. And so maybe now things don't crash under this president. Maybe they crash under the next president, or it crashes under the president after that. I don't know. But we are really playing a very dangerous game here. Again, how do you fix things? You cannot buy your way out of debt. You cannot spend your way out of all this debt. We are just rewarding more bad behavior by putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound here, and everybody's afraid to pull the Band-Aid off. And at some point, the Band-Aid is going to come off, and we are going to really be dealing with some catastrophic problems here, problems that should have been dealt with decades ago. But nobody wanted to feel pain, including the average American. Nobody wanted to feel the pain. It's just too easy to keep running up credit cards. It's just too easy to just depend on the politicians on fixing this. It's just too easy to hope that the system is going to save you and protect you. It is not going to. And here's another prime example of that. This coming from CNN. Thousands are living in RVs on Los Angeles streets. Leaders want to shrink the number, but the solution is elusive. There is no solution at this point. Again, they can give everybody $500 and promise them a hotel room. They can give everybody a free house. It's not the solution. Many of these people have mental issues and they need help. They should be in hospitals. We should have places to put these people like we did years ago. They need help. And also, there are people out there that are good people who just don't have jobs. There are people out there that do not have mental issues. They do not have drug issues. They're out there because they don't have opportunity. They don't have jobs, or they just cannot make enough money to pay $3,000 for a 2-bedroom rundown apartment in LA County. They can't do it in LA, they can't do it in Orange County, they can't do it in San Diego because inflation is so out of control that good people out there are now living in RVs. They're sleeping in their cars, they're sleeping in vans, they're sleeping on sidewalks because they cannot afford to live. There are more than 11,000 people living in RVs across Los Angeles County, and the number is rising. Does this look like a first world country to all of you? It does not to me. Yes, again, there's drugs out there, there's mental illness out there, but there's also good people out there. But we cannot have, no matter what the problem is, we cannot have people sleeping on the streets. We cannot have thousands of people sleeping in RVs parked, residential streets and industrial centers, sleeping there, dumping sewage on public roads. We cannot do that. And the answer is not giving everybody a free house or giving everybody money. That's not going to fix the problem. We need to put people with mental illnesses in institutions where they're safe, where they're being watched, where they can get help. The people that have drug dependencies, they need help too. We need institutions, we need places to put them. Then there's people out there that just want a job, that want opportunity. But guess what? They can't afford a brand new $48,000 car. They can't afford a $20,000 used car. They can't afford 8% car loans. They can't afford 25% interest on a credit card. It doesn't take much to become homeless. If you don't have a family to fall back on, if you don't have a really good church to fall back on, and you lose a job, you land up in the hospital and you get behind on medical bills, you go through a bad divorce, somebody, wipes you out, you can be homeless really, really quick. And I know that over the years when we would shoot homeless videos, there would be a lot of people out there that would critique the videos and want to judge these homeless people and say that they deserve this, they got what they wanted, but they don't understand how many people are out there have been abused, came from abusive relationships, abusive families, have seen some really, really bad things. People whose homes had burnt down and could never recover, people who went through ugly divorces, people, again, who had massive medical bills, could not recover. And yeah, some people had addictions. And they landed up on the streets. So is that the answer? We just leave people on the streets and we let disease spread and we let people throw sewage on the streets and we let violence run wild on the streets because people are sleeping on sidewalks and living in RVs? That's no place for a human being. I don't care how they got there. They're there. Now we got to deal with it. So LA County got $1.3 billion to do something with the homeless crisis. Where's the money? Where's the money going? Why can they not buy a plot of land somewhere and build some type of warehousing and put a roof over these people's heads, give them, showers and some sanitation and place to use the bathroom and some safety and some security and some counseling and whatever. But, we're too busy sending money all over the world. We're sending hundreds of billions of dollars all over the world, yet we have people right here that need this help so bad. Over 11,000 people living in RVs in Los Angeles County. This is absolutely unacceptable. It's disgusting. It's repulsive. And this is what a third world nation looks like. And this is LA County, one of the so-called wealthiest cities on planet Earth. Tinseltown, the place where they make movies, Beverly Hills, Bel Air. Unbelievable. Last count, 7,100 RVs on the county streets. If you've ever watched some of the videos on YouTube on some of these areas, it is blocks and blocks of dilapidated RVs. And as I said earlier, sometimes they're spilling the sewage right from the RVs right onto these public streets. This is not sanitary. This is not safe for public health. It should not be allowed. We've got to do something about this. Can the problem even be fixed at this point? I don't know. I really don't. There's so much wasting of money, so much money being stolen. I just don't know if it can even be fixed. And this is just another indication of how broken the state of California is. This one from the Insider. The sneaky way automakers are keeping car prices high. So we are still seeing limited amounts of inventory on the car lots, more than we did a year ago, so that's good, but still a limited amount. But it says here that the car makers are using the planned downturn by shutting down factories for short periods. So they shut down the factories, they make less cars, and then they charge you more per car. So that's how they're doing business now. And of course, they're hiding cars in parking structures in LA. Watched a video from FSpot, EFFSPOT, where he found about 550 Dodges, Challengers and Chargers hidden in an indoor parking garage. And so they're keeping the cars off the lots so that they can get more for these cars because they have fewer of them on the lots. That's what the dealers are doing. The automakers are saying, well, let's just shut down the factories and then we'll make less cars and charge more. I mean, I hope people don't forget what is happening. I really hope they don't forget what is happening and what the automakers are doing. What the sports teams are doing. I hope people don't forget what Hollywood has done, what their sports teams have done. If you really want to walk the walk, and there's so many people out there that say they walk the walk, but yet they're going to baseball games, they're going to movies, and they're supporting these organizations. Do you really think if you're walking the walk, you should be supporting these organizations? Like, look, I'm not telling you not to enjoy sports or a movie, but you really have to think about where's your money going? How are they going to use that money against you? And if you're really walking the walk, why give the devil a dime of your money? Why give him a minute of your time? And really, when I look at sports and I look at Hollywood, I see the devil. And I'm not going to give the devil a dime. I'm not going to give him a second of my time. I'm not supporting these organizations who slap you in the face, who have no respect for you, who really rip you off for parking, a beer, a Coke, a hot dog, and the price of a ticket. I don't agree with what a lot of these organizations stand for because to me, they represent the devil, they're satanic, it's evil. And so I can take my time and my money and I can take it elsewhere. I'm walking the walk. I hope you're walking the walk. And if we're going to walk the walk, then we can spend our money and time with whoever and whatever we want. It's not going to be Hollywood. It's not going to be sports. That's my opinion. Please comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on that. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but that's how I'm seeing it. They're not getting there's no baseball team, there's no basketball team, there's no football team that's getting a dime of my money or a second of my time, period. Chicago Walgreens redesigned with only 2 aisles available for browsing, the rest behind counters. We talked about this the other day. This is the world we live in now. It's not even this bad in third world countries. You can go into third world countries and actually walk down the aisles and pull products off shelves. In Chicago, you can't do that. It's all behind a counter because the theft is so bad. And this is the world we're living in right now. And we're all going to pay a price here because guess what? Prices are going to go up, not because of just inflation, not because of shipping shortages, but because of theft. And so now you can't pull a product off the shelf yourself. It's behind some plexiglass, behind a counter, and somebody has to get it for you. And soon that person will be gone because they'll replace that job with a robot. And then you'll just, put your card in and tell the robot what you want behind the shelf. That's how it's all going to work very, very soon. Really sad. And, it's amazing that people rob these stores in their own areas and then wonder why nobody wants to open businesses in their areas. Maybe it's because businesses don't want to be robbed. Maybe businesses don't want to pay high insurance premiums. Maybe businesses just want to go there and make money and service the community, but you just won't let it happen because you just want to go in there and take everything for free while everybody else has to pay for it financially and through convenience. Because, now that the 4 Walmarts close in Chicago because of crime, people have to drive farther. And maybe that's not hard for you to do, but in some areas, and for older people, or maybe you don't have a vehicle, now you have to go farther. So when you call for an Uber, now you have to go 10 miles farther to do your shopping. It's going to cost you more. And it's just the inconvenience. Really, really sad. I'm going to close with this last article. Snack thief opens fire in New York City 7-Eleven after workers confront him. Watch this video. You can Google it. Pretty amazing. This individual is in a store stealing stuff, and as he's leaving, he's being confronted, and he turns around and just starts firing rounds into the store. So you literally could lose your life over a bag of potato chips. People are willing to take your life for a Snicker bar, a bag of potato chips, a Red Bull. People will take your life for this. This is the world we live in right now. And as I close with you today, let me know your thoughts on this, but how bad does this look a year from now? We are heading really down a very, very dark road here. And when you look at what people will do to other people over a bag of chips or a candy bar, what they're capable of doing, what does this world look like when people begin to lose their pensions, when their EBT cards don't work, when the SNAP and WIC checks don't show up, when people go hungry for 3 days, when the lights go out? Somebody please explain this to me. What does this all look like? Because to say that could never happen, you're in fantasy land, because we are watching so many things happen now that people 10 years ago said could never happen, but it's all happening. You need to prepare for these scenarios. We are heading into a Mad Max type of situation, ladies and gentlemen. We are watching right now in real time the breakdown of society. People don't even have a conscience to think about firing a weapon into a store because somebody confronted you about stealing a candy bar. Wow. Think about what somebody would do to you if they had not eaten food for 3, 4, or 5 days. Shocking. It really is. But people out there will think that this will never affect them, that they'll never, this will never affect them. They'll never have to prepare. I feel sorry for those people because they'll be the first victims. They'll be the first people knocking at your door for help, but they're also going to be the first victims of this downturn. Just prepare the best that you can, ladies and gentlemen. Think about these scenarios. Think about what could happen if the lights went out. Think about what would happen if people weren't getting their food stamps, weren't getting their SNAP, weren't getting their WIC. Think about what would happen in your areas. Think about what's happening in your areas right now. I mean, they are putting all of their goods at these Walgreens behind the counters, behind plexiglass, locked up. Nobody can touch it. It's a matter of time before you go to the grocery store and your meat department is going to be locked up. So it's happening right now before your very eyes, and most people just don't want to think about it. They don't want to accept the truth. They don't want to accept reality. And look, this is concerning stuff. It's not fun. It's concerning. But to sit there and not prepare for this is a horrible, horrible strategy. The best thing you can do right now is become a better, stronger person, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially right now. No matter what happens, if tomorrow the economy goes crazy and everything gets fixed overnight and everything's good, well, you're just a better, stronger person, mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually. You don't lose anything. But think about if some of these events continue to happen and they begin to get bigger and more widespread, what are you going to do? Too many people are completely unprepared for what is about to happen. And things are happening right now. It's like warnings, these red flags. They're warning you right now that, hey, this is coming to a town near you. This is coming to your neighborhood. Are you prepared? You could potentially be homeless. What are you doing right now to prevent that? Make sure you have a very, very good circle of friends. Make sure that you get the backstabbers. Make sure you get the leeches, the bloodsuckers, out of your life. People who just want to use you, who just want, that want to take advantage of you, but don't bring anything to the table. They have no skills. They have no assets. They don't have a mindset. They're just along for the ride. They just want to see what they can get from you. And of course, when things get bad, they're coming to your house. So while they're partying in Vegas, while they're having a good time, while they're taking vacations, while they're running up the credit card bills, while they're on social media, and you're making the sacrifices, while you're cutting things out of your life, they're going to come to you for help. I was talking to Professor Elias today, and we were just talking about, people always making excuses of why they can't train. I can't afford it. Don't have the money. I can't train. How many times do you go to Starbucks every day? How many times do you go out to lunch every day? How many times do you go out how many times do you go out to lunch during the week? How many times do you go out to dinner during the week? Do you go out and drink a few beers on Friday at the bar, Saturday at the bar? If you want something bad enough, if you want to improve your life, if you want a skill set, it doesn't usually come free. It takes dedication, it takes sweat, and sometimes you got to pay somebody to teach you those skills. And so in order to do that, maybe you work an extra 4 hours during the week, work a half day Saturday, cut out the bar on Saturday night or Friday night, cut out the weekend trips, cut out going to lunch every day. I know people who don't even make that much money, and they go to lunch every day. They go and get coffees every day, and then they never have any money to do anything. They can't train, they can't join jiu-jitsu, they can't do anything because they're broke, because they cannot make the sacrifice. They're not dedicated. And so, if you're hanging around people like that who always have excuses, who are not training, who are not making the sacrifices, who aren't cutting things out in life, not adding more skill sets to their life, maybe you need to find new friends. Maybe you need to find new people to be hanging out with. Not people who just want to get something from you. You're putting in all this work, all the dedication, you're making the sacrifices, you're paying to learn the skill sets, and then these people are going to want you to give them your food, your time, your security. They're going to want to come to your house. They're going to want you to feed their kids. They're going to want your help some way, or they're going to want you to help them financially. Hey, can you lend me $500? Can you help me with $1,000? I couldn't make my rent. No, absolutely not. So careful with the people you're hanging out with and who you have in your circle, because a lot of people are not going to have your back. And me personally, I've had to really get a lot of people out of my life over the last couple years who just didn't bring anything to the table, who just weren't training, weren't preparing, didn't have skills, didn't see what's coming. And now those people, many of them have nothing, and they're completely unprepared, just like they were 3 years ago, 2 years ago. They're in the same place. And people who are awake are growing mentally, they're growing spiritually, they're growing financially, they're growing physically, because we're preparing for these events to unfold. So I'm not going to bore you. I don't want to rant. I know I'm going on here, but careful who you surround yourself with. Again, there's just a lot of people out there who would stab you in the back in a heartbeat, and these people bring you nothing. So maybe it's time to shake some of these people out as we begin summer and surround yourself with very, very good people. And look, you don't have to have a lot of people in your life, just have the right people in your life. I'd rather have a few really good, loyal, dedicated friends than a bunch of friends, because when it comes down to it, you're going to want people who have your back, people who bring something to the table, people who have skills. I'm going to leave it there today. Let me know your thoughts. I know I went on a little rant there, but I apologize, but let me know your thoughts, because you really start thinking deep as you look at all these people, according to the CNN article right here. All these people living in RVs in LA. And look, I've been there. I've seen this. I've talked to these people. You're watching this country go and fall into a third world country right before our very eyes, yet people will tell you everything's okay. Those people are either highly medicated, delusional, or they're flat out lying to your face. Things are not okay. Things are severely broken spiritually, morally, and financially in this country. And if you're not awake to that, if you don't know that, you're going to find yourself in very, very big trouble. God bless every one of you. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and as always, I look forward to speaking with all of you very, very soon. God bless.